We are going to work this word problem here. This is a systems of equations word problem. And I'll read it a few times. The first time I'll just read it through, and the second time we're going to underline some things. So Alyssa bought 2 notebooks and 3 binders for $19.75. Christy bought 4 notebooks and 2 binders for $22.50. What is the cost of each notebook and binder? So we need to find the individual cost of each notebook and binder. And I'm going to designate notebook with an N and a B for binder. And again, our goal is to find the cost of each individual one. Like if you were going school shopping and your total was a certain amount, you have to find out what each notebook and binder will cost. So that's our goal for this. All right, so let's go through and underline key points. Alyssa bought 2 notebooks and the word and means plus, 3 binders for $19.50. Christy bought 4 notebooks and, again, that means plus, 2 binders for $22.50. So we're going to write for Alyssa right here, we're going to write 2 notebooks plus 3 binders is equal to $19.75. And that's our first equation. So for Christy, we're going to write 4 notebooks and 2 binders for $22.50. And we can just write 22.5. It says, what is the cost of each notebook and binder? Okay, so now that we've written these equations, we really don't need to know whose is whose for now, unless we want to label them, but we need to now figure out if we are going to use elimination or substitution to solve for the variables n and b. So it requires us to study both equations and see if there's anything we can cancel out. When I look at them, if I add them together, I'm not really going to get anything that's going to get me any further, whatever that is. That's not really going to work. So we don't really want to go that route. There doesn't look like there's any substitution that I can do unless I solve for n on one side of the equation or b on one side of the equation, but it looks kind of messy. So I'm going to not do a substitution. I'm going to entertain the idea of elimination. If I look at Alyssa's equation, I see that I have a 2n right here, and that's related to 4n in a way, right? If I doubled the 2n and maybe multiplied it by -1, I could end up with something that I could completely eliminate the n from the equation. So that's what I'm going to choose to do. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to multiply both sides of this equation by -2, as well as this side of this side of the equation, and I'm going to rewrite this equation. To do that, we're going to use the distributive method. So we're going to multiply that -2 times each term in the parentheses. And again, this -2 is going to be multiplied by that. So here's what we get. We get a -4n minus 6b is equal to, well, use your calculator for that one. That's going to be -39.5. Now again, we're in algebra world right now. We're really not worried about negative money or anything like that. So let's just think through the algebra. I'm literally only going to recopy this equation. That's Christy's equation here. And I'm going to add the 2 equations together. When I add them together, this cancels. And so the -6b plus 2b is going to be -4b, and that's going to equal -17. I can divide both sides by -4, and I will get b is equal to $4.25. Okay, 17 divided by 4, -17 divided by -4 is 4.25. So that means a binder costs $4.25. Now we need to take that number, $4.25, and plug it back into the original, one of the original equations. So we're gonna do that right now. So 4n, let's do this. Let's make a little area over here. Let's copy one of the equations. 4n plus 2 times the price of the binder, well, the binder costs $4.25, is going to equal $22.50, right? 22.5. Okay, so that's 4n plus 850. 2 times 4.25 is just 850, is going to equal 22.5. We subtract 850 from both sides, and we get 4n is equal to 14. We divide both sides by 4. It's dividing by 4, and we'll get, these 4's will cancel. We will get n is equal to $3.50. So the cost of a notebook is $3.50, and that's the end. So just in summary, what we did was we found some key equations. We determined that we needed to use elimination. We changed our equation, one of the equations, by multiplying both sides by -2 so that we could eliminate. And then we solved for b first and then n.